the boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
It's Taco Tuesday!
Actually, it's Jerry Reynolds Tuesday. What's up? Is there anything going on today? We've got breaking news from the Kings facility that we're going to get to. It's in the ticker. We'll talk about it in a second. Bane, I got you, man.
Roll up those sleeves to your freaking neck.
You got to roll up those sleeves to your freaking neck. Jerry Reynolds is here at 2:30. Get your questions in the chat for Jerry. Would love to answer those. Jerry enjoys getting some of your questions, even sometimes the off-the-wall ones. We've had wrestling questions thrown at Jerry Reynolds before. Hopefully we don't have any wrestling questions today, but we'll see. Welcome in. How the heck's everybody doing? We're brought to you by Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. And yes, a big smile is on my face because the NBA is back. Bane is right. It is time. We tip it off tonight. Huge game in the Eastern Conference. Celtics getting their rings in Boston, New York, who is geared their offseason towards beating this Celtics team. See if they match up on night one. And then you got the Timberwolves and the Lakers. Kings get a chance to see the Timberwolves, see their regular season sets. Not that that's going to be any surprise. Pretty much every set's called Anthony Edwards, but the Kings will rest and they will watch as they prepare for Thursday night at the G1C. But do me a favor, get to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Check out more on all three of their locations. By the way, you can now go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com and make your orders to go. You don't have to call the restaurant. It's super simple. Love doing it. You can see the offerings, the specials, all that good stuff. You got happy hour 2 to 6 o'clock this week, Monday through Fridays, and you got brunch, all that good stuff. So get over there, do me a favor, and like I said, get your questions in the chat for Jerry Reynolds. He wants to hear from you, and I might take a call or two. If you want to talk to Jerry, you got a question for him, you want to share a story with him, all good. I am open to that, but just get in and get out. Not like a 5-minute segment. Just get in, get out, and we will have some fun. I want to be respectful of his time. But as I said, we got some breaking news. We'll get to this. I was going to say we're back at 8. We'll talk about it later because there's more important things going on. Practice just wrapped up at the Kings facility. A lot of questions about the starting five. Kevin Huerter, what's going to happen? Well, Kevin scrimmaged today. So the Kings scrimmaged. Mike Brown, if you remember, we listened to the audio yesterday. One day this week was going to be a scrimmage week or scrimmage day. And today was that day. And Kevin Huerter got in there. Didn't just get in there. He got in there with the starting five. Domas confirmed that to the media. Here is Domas Sabonis.
Yeah, he was playing with us. Coach was mixing up teams throughout the whole scrimmage.
Yeah, coach is mixing up teams. He's mixing up his rotation. But then the more telling answer came when Coach Brown was directly asked about Kevin and asked what the plans would be should he be available. Here you go. You ready for it?
I think he's close. They haven't said, give me the green light that he'll be able to play on Thursday. Yeah. But I think he's close. He looks good. He doesn't seem like he's missed a beat at all. If he plays, he'll probably start. But right now we got to get the green light to see if he's going to play.
Seems like there's like a logic that gets floated around if you don't lose your starting spot due to injury. But Keon played pretty well in those minutes. Just kind of what goes into your decision on what to do with that in the lineup?
There's a lot. I mean, again, I know for sure, Keegan's going to start, Doma's going to start, DeMar's going to start. I said this earlier, and Fox is going to start. And then from there, we'll evaluate it. But right now, until he's cleared to play in a real game, that's kind of how I'm looking at it as. If he's not cleared, then Keon most likely will start. But that could change too. So when I get the green light that he's cleared, we'll make that decision. But I try.
Hey, I've been on the record saying that I think Keon Ellis is the best person for this starting lineup, but I also have stood by this. Mike Brown is very loyal to Kevin Huerter. It would not have surprised me if Kevin slided right into that starting spot, especially with some of the stuff we saw in the preseason with spacing and inability to shoot the three ball at a high percentage. Now, we had a big discussion across our two shows yesterday about Kevin Huerter and his shooting woes. Gammon came in and, he made a argument that said Kevin lost his confidence. I'm not ready to go there because I am not Kevin Huerter. But what do you think about that? How do you feel? Look, Dennis is saying I called my shot. Dennis, I told you he's going to be the starter. I don't have the boom, Dennis, but I got a bang. Bang! So there you go. Dennis saying he called it. All right. Kevin is not the starter. Kevin will probably start if he is healthy and ready to go. Now, that part of it to me is the more intriguing part. It's not the part that Kevin would be in the lineup. It's where's Kevin's legs at? A lot of one-on-one, a lot of individual work. Again, getting back on the court, being in the flow with the guys, getting adjusted to life with DeMar DeRozan. Things can happen after practice. You can walk through stuff, but going full speed. And especially going full speed against your teammates that know what you're doing, sometimes that's almost harder in practice than it is in a game when you're going against the other team. But how is that adjustment going to be for Kevin? This is certainly something we will talk about with Jerry Reynolds. And then also, what do the minutes look like? Because we can make a big deal out of who starts, but really what it's about is who's on the floor at the end of the game. And Kevin historically has not been on the floor at the end of the games. So what does an extra role for him look like? Does he maybe fill some of the extra minutes too with the second unit that could be available at the forward position? So we've got a ton to talk about around Kevin Huerter. Let's get to your comments really quick. And then I'm going to run down the top stories before Jerry Reynolds joins us. 2:30. Can't wait for that. Fun conversation. It's back. We are back. We are 2 sleeps away from Kings basketball. 48 hours in counting until the Kings are back at the G1C. We already got the sleeves comment. Grant, why you commenting in here? Grant, what are you doing, my man? Alberto, what's up? Kevin ain't done yet. Let's go rooting for him. That's the good thing about Sacramento. Love that about this fan base. Love that you support your guys, you pick them up. Now, sometimes you turn a little quick, but I love the support that comes from everybody. Comments coming in. I love it. And by the way, you can call the show. I will put the link back in here if you would like to call in before Jerry gets on the show with us about 2:30. Let's see. Who finishes? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. It's going to vary night to night. And in fact, we've got a soundbite from Mike Brown that we're going to get to later in the show, talking about how difficult it is to kind of plan your rotation and get an idea of what you want to do with not knowing who's going to be available, because this is the second season in a row that is happening to Mike Brown. Dorian, what's up, dude? I personally don't think Keon is a starter in the NBA. It's about who's finishing the game anyways. There we go. So same sentiment from Dorian. It does make me wonder how Keon fits into everything. If Keon's not in the starting lineup. Now, there's going to be minutes for him. Absolutely. Defensive spark off the bench, stopper. But you do lose something right off the bat with Kevin defensively. I think we can all acknowledge and agree to that. He cannot get through a screen the same way, and nothing against Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter works his ass off on defense. In fact, I think he's a little bit of an underrated defender, but he doesn't get through screens like Keon Ellis does. And you've got a lot of physical point guards in the Western Conference. Alberto, Ryan, I noticed that the jerseys this year didn't have a sponsor patch. Is that this isn't a good thing, right? I did not notice that, Alberto. I'll check into it. I will check into that. Very interesting point. A lot of the teams, most of the teams are doing the sponsor patches. The Kings have had them. They started off with Blue Diamond last year. Forget the name of it, but you're right. I'll look into that, Alberto. Good question by you, Dennis. I had a pull up. Who is going to be the first Kings player to hit 150 made threes this season? A poll. Who's going to be? Okay. Dennis, man, you're talk to type, dude. Damn. You're throwing the host off, man. You're making me think like I can't read. It's all good. Who's going to be the first king to 150 threes? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Flores think that it matters how you start, but it's more important. Yes. More important how you finish. Sorry, my computer was going slow there. All right, so we also have, what's up, Jason? Aztec season predictions. Ooh, let's do that after the top news. I'll get back to that. My Aztec brother. All right, we've got some top stories that we're going to go over. And, one of them, I can't believe we're going to do this again. I can't believe we're going to do it again. But first, let's start with Deebo Samuel. You guys have heard that he did not play Sunday due to an illness. He has been in the hospital, or he was hospitalized for pneumonia. That ain't no joke. This guy right here went through pneumonia this summer. That was about a 6 to 8 week process. And I'm not an elite athlete, so maybe Deebo bounces back from what he's dealing with. But I can tell you, if he had to be hospitalized, I did not. And I didn't think it could get worse. But the fact that he was hospitalized, keep an eye out for that. Because when you have the worst forms of pneumonia, anybody that's played football, Jason, my Aztec brother down there, you were a football player in college. Have you ever fallen on the ball? Anybody broken a rib out there? It feels like both of those things have happened simultaneously every time you take a breath. And then on top of that, the only way to kind of get things to clear up is coughing. And that hurts 10 times more. So wishing Deebo nothing but the best. Another bad hit for the Niners. We knew about that, but keeping an eye out and ear out for what's going on with him. Also, Brandon Ayuk, we heard yesterday, confirmed torn ACL, torn MCL. He is done for the year. Chris Godwin, last night, Monday Night Football. Tampa Bay loses to the Ravens. He suffers a horrific injury. Horrific lower extremity injury, clearly a broken bone. That's not, to me, what I want to focus on. Did anybody see the way this dude handled that injury? By the way, ESPN did not replay the play where it happened, which I don't have a problem with that. It was pretty... If you were watching live, you saw his ankle was pointing the wrong direction. Let's just put it that way. But Chris Godwin, he's on his knees and just calm as can be. They finally get him on the cart and he's taking it all in. He's not writhing in pain. He looks at the trainer, and if you read his lips, he says one more time, and he smiles because he already had a serious injury that he had to battle back from. And here's what I took away from that. One, prayers, quick recovery. But two, could you imagine if all of us had a 10th of the composure that he had in his worst moment, hardest moment? This dude was so composed. My God, let it be a lesson to any of us, people that deal with road rage, people that deal with anything that is relatively minor. This guy's leg was pointing 90 degrees the wrong way, yet his perspective and his calmness did not change. So much respect to Chris Godwin. That really hit me last night watching that. And I want to keep covering and following up what happens with him. And it's made me want to dig a little bit deeper into him as a player, him as a person, because that's not normal. And that is so respectable and pretty damn cool. Injuries, not cool, but that was really cool. Chris Godwin, hope you have a quick recovery. I am sure surgery will likely be in the plans for that. Another story coming out of that game, Baker Mayfield was seen possibly popping in a nicotine packet in his mouth during the game. Oh my gosh. What are we doing here, media? Are you freaking kidding me? Why the hell is this a story? Who the hell cares? Do you think a nicotine packet is the worst thing that's getting popped in to these guys' bodies on game days? They got to be shot up. They got to take pain pills. And I'm reading articles about Baker putting a nicotine packet in his mouth. Not even mentioning Major League Baseball, where these guys chew. They pitch, they play with nicotine in their mouth, and we're making a big deal out of Baker Mayfield popping a little packet in his mouth. Who the hell cares? Get the hell out of here, media. Do better. Come on. What are we doing here? Who cares? Aaron Rodgers was picking a booger and eating it the other night. All right, I get why you did that. It's the internet, right? The internet's undefeated. You put funny stuff out there, awkward stuff, what goes viral. But you're going to try to get on this dude for a little nicotine packet? Get out of here, man. So that was just, that kind of bugged me. I wanted to hit that at the top. And then he's back. He's back, John Finch. He is back, and I wish I was lying. If you were here last Tuesday, we detailed Jera's appearance on the 105.3 W Fan in Dallas. Just ripping, threatening, going nuts on the radio, threatening the host's jobs over decisions he didn't make. Well, guess what? He came back for his weekly hit, and it did not disappoint. This old man cannot stay out of his own way. And I've got the audio for you after Jerry Reynolds. It was classic Jerry Jones. How about them Cowboys, John Finch? Your owner, man, he is a beauty, to steal a term from my broadcast partner. What is going on with him? John, did you see? John, did you hear him again on the radio? You know what? I'm gonna play you a quick preview, okay? Here's a quick preview. This is how the interview started with Jerry and the guys at 105.3 The Fan.
Jerry, well, what do you want to say, if anything, about last week?
I don't have anything to say about last week.
You'd think that's where it ends, right? I don't have anything to say about last week. Yeah, no. He had plenty to say, and passive-aggressive Jerry was back again for another helping. So there you go. Let's get back to the chat before Jerry Reynolds joins us here in about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Usually he shows up early. So Jerry will be here anytime. Jerry, ask Jerry for his total wins prediction for the Kings this season. You know what? I don't want Jerry's face anywhere near that Jerry's faces. There we go. Better. Ask Jerry for his wins prediction. Yeah, I think we did that, but I will get that down. I will get that in. Let's see. Jason, Marshall fractured his rib and it wasn't fun. But when I had, I was talking about Marshall Fox. He played with Marshall Fox. But when I had COVID, I strained my side and the constant coughing was absolutely painful and caused sleep and breathing issues. Yeah. My pneumonia, you guys, if you've been with us through the summer, my voice changed for a minute, but it was incredibly hard to breathe without pain. So wishing the best for Debo. And yeah, Jason, that is a painful thing. I mean, you can't sneeze without just seizing up. So hopefully that clears up. Hopefully they hit him with some IV antibiotics, a little bit more that they can do in the hospital rather than outside. Even with mine, really quick, they made me take 2 or 3 different kinds of antibiotics. And I'm not trying to make this about me, but that was not as bad as needing to be in the hospital. So I can only imagine what Debo's going through. Yesterday's game was on Purdy. He threw 1 of 3 picks at a critical juncture while in the red zone on the verge of taking the lead. 2 of those picks were rookies. You know, those guys had only played like 13 plays, 12 or 13 combined coming into that game. And that's the thing to me that's most impressive about Kansas City. You can talk about Mahomes, you can talk about their speedsters, but what about the guys that we don't talk about? They're always prepared to play. That is like an underrated and really under talked about thing with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's so impressive. This run that they have put together 2 straight Super Bowls. Look, the Niners, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they look exhausted and they haven't even won a Super Bowl. So it's crazy how Andy Reid's able to keep it together. And I like the way he approaches it. It's a partnership with him and the players. You know, they do their labs during the week where the players get to come up with plays. They mix some of those in sometimes if they're good enough. But yeah, Alberto, Brock definitely did not have his best game. I think Brock is not, there's things in the offense that they could be doing better that would help Brock, that would complement his game much better than the way that they've been just dropping him back. Because he showed the propensity to use his legs, and you don't want him running a ton, but you want defenses to think that's a threat at the very least. So, yeah, prayers up for Godwin. Wonder if that's a side effect of a certain jab. Not sure. Didn't mean to stumble you. No good. No problem, Dennis. You are good. So again, we are talking Kings. The season tips off Thursday. It's already here. Can you believe it? The season for the Kings tips off Thursday, but NBA basketball's back tonight. You got a double header. The champions are kicking off the season against the New York Knicks, and then afterwards you get the Timberwolves and the Lakers. But as always on Tuesdays, we are incredibly lucky and honored to have Jerry Reynolds, past coach, analyst, GM for your Sacramento Kings, join us right here on the Kings Court. And Grant announced just earlier this week that Jerry's going to be joining us for halftime shows too. So as always, welcome in the one and only Jerry Reynolds. How you doing today, buddy?
Great to be with you, Ryan, and the fans, and looking forward to the season. Obviously, doing some halftime with you and Grant, and always great to talk basketball with good friends.
Yes, absolutely. Fired up for it. And thank you, by the way, for joining us again for some of the halftimes this season. That was a fan favorite last year.
Well, that's good to know. Hopefully we'll have a lot of good halftimes to talk about.
You know,
that's one thing about it. I mean, and I think we will. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, the West is just brutal, but means a lot of good games, a lot of talented teams. The Kings are one of them. That's very talented, and so just I love the game. I can't wait to see it get started.
Yeah, me too. We had to improv a little bit last year at halftime, and that's what made the show fun sometimes.
Yeah, we'll have to again. I mean, 82 games. It's not all. They're not going to be 82-0. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jerry, basketball has been such a huge part of your life. Tonight, opening night for the NBA. Take me back. What's that feeling this time of year, every year when the basketball season starts for you?
Well, it's always such an exciting because the optimism. You're expecting the best. You see for the most part, there's some weaknesses in your team and all, but and all that, but you're just assuming everything's going to go well, and of course, just seeing the roar of the crowd and the excitement of the crowd. And of course, I'll always remember the very first opening day, basically 40 years ago in Sacramento at the original little arena. Of course, it was so exciting, not just for the city, but for me, because it was my first year in the league as a second assistant coach, and just nothing has quite matched that in my mind since. I mean, just because the first and all the excitement associated with a major league team in Sacramento.
So when you got that job as a second assistant, were you thinking, I made it? This is it for me? Did you envision becoming a general manager, a head coach? What was that like?
Now, what I really thought, I mean, it was, I knew it was a great opportunity, and I'd known Phil Johnson, the head coach, for a long time, back when I was a junior college coach, and he was a Division I college coach. And so I recruited some of my players, and we developed a friendship and things like that. But my thinking was, it's a great opportunity for me to go in the NBA for a few years, and then probably, I'd try to get a division, kind of a low Division I type job, things of that nature, the Indiana State, Wichita State, Eastern Michigan. I mean, those kind of things I thought would open up for me that hadn't, even though I'd had a lot of success at different levels. But so that was my thinking. I just, if I'd said, maybe 3 years in the NBA, and then I'll be ready to maybe take the job, at the Division I level.
Very cool. Did you have a welcome to the NBA moment?
Gosh, I can't know that I did. I mean, at that time, it was such a, I don't know, kind of a chaotic situation. The team moving, didn't have the arena wasn't ready. Our offices were in a little cookie cutter building out by, out beside of the arena. And, we didn't, so it was so, basically the arena was just barely ready by the time the first game. We didn't play any preseason games there. We weren't around for a month. In those days, we had 2-a-days for 3 weeks. Guys would have dropped dead. They, of course, they got it in the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, no contact practices, only so many.
On coaches too, So so that was kind of it was just, I didn't know what to expect, but it was a lot of work. And then, I think they had an event about a week before the Kings opened their season with the Clippers. Bobby Chacon out of Yuba City area, a boxer that was very well known at the time, and championship level fighter, had a fight at the building and had a huge crowd. And so I know they were happy to do that and see how the crowd flow got in and out and parking and all that stuff. They didn't even
dress rehearsal
and seating and all that. So anyway, that's probably more than fans want to know, but that was a very, very unique time, obviously.
Yeah, in the city, were you surprised by the way the city turned out for that first game and the sellouts?
Yeah, I really was. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that good because we had, just about any open practice or something, it'd just be packed, and so you knew there was a lot of excitement. But I think the truth that having that little building was really crucial because it created so much more interest because not everybody could get in. 10,003, sold out, and then standing room and people waiting to buy tickets. So, I mean, it's one of those deals. Had the building, I think if the Kings had the very first year had moved into a 17 or 18,000 seat building, I'm not sure it would have had quite the enthusiasm. And then also the TV deal, the Kings almost didn't show any home games. They show the road games, and a lot of teams did back then because they didn't want to give
Want you to come out.
give their product away for free.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a few of the unique things that was going on at that time.
What an interesting time. Taking it back in the day with Jerry. I love these conversations. We'll fast forward. We'll get to the season now. We're going to talk about Kevin Huerter in a second, but first I want to talk about this because this kind of surprised me, Jerry. This was Coach Brown after the last preseason game against the Clippers, and he explained the process and what he asked of his players offensively during the preseason, and it completely changed my mind about what I saw for the most part offensively, with the exception of missed shots. But I want to play it for you. It's about 1:10. I want the crowd to hear it as well. This was Coach Brown after the Clippers game talking about the Kings' offensive struggles.
In our players' defense, I've only allowed them really to play out of our flow. And so, we're not going specifically to this guy or that guy, or we're not, if a team is blitzing or if a team is switching, we're trying to see if we can still score or attack at whatever defense we face. And we did a decent job at it at times, but it puts them in a predicament because at times it's hard and they're just kind of pound away at something that they're not used to, but I'm hoping that they can get used to it. So when we do play in flow during the game, while mixing in our other actions, it's a lot easier to do in the future. So part of it's our fault, but then part of it's their fault in terms of taking too many chances on the turnover. So the biggest thing that I saw last night in the 2 games before is our turnover, and that has.
So we knew about the turnover problems, but Jerry, we knew the Kings weren't going to show their whole hand, but the fact that Coach Brown basically said you can't shoot unless you take 3 dribbles or, something like that, does that change what you saw this preseason offensively?
Well, a little bit. I be honest, I'm a little surprised that by the end of the preseason that maybe they didn't put a little more structure in the offense.
Okay.
I'm a kind of a believer that down the stretch of games, you better, the free flowing stuff, it gets a little tough because the defense might not let you a free flow.
Absolutely.
And so you might, my feeling has been, and I know just doing a podcast for the Kings Herald earlier, and a lot of the fans there on that site were saying, they really think the Kings team would need a little structure down the stretch, to where you might have something where you could go to a guy in a situation, whether it's DeRozan or Fox or whoever, hopefully get them a shot, and so that would be my thought. Just like, I think this team can, when it's going good, playing in transition, just flow right into something, get some good shots, chase them, and all that, but I think most of us has been following this league a while, knows that last 6 minutes it gets harder to score.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game gets more physical. I mean, it just does. It always has.
Absolutely. The whistle gets a little bit tighter too as you get down to the closing minutes. It's a good point. And Coach Brown last year said he did not structure or call very many plays for the offense. I think that's something that definitely needs to change, as you pointed out. And we saw runs, like I pointed out earlier this week. The Kings had some of those runs similar to last year where they went 11 possessions without making a field goal. That's why you get DeMar DeRozan. That's where you need that structure that you're talking about, even when it's not at the end of the game.
Yeah, like you say, you need those guys. And that's where DeRozan was a great addition, in my opinion, is that even when you're not making shots, a guy like that can get to the line.
Yes.
So, and getting to the line and making free throws is a run stopper as well. And so, I think that's something probably they'll think about, I'm sure, as time goes.
Indeed. Okay, so the breaking news today, out of practice, the Kings scrimmaged, and Kevin Huerter was a part of that. He ran with the ones for a decent part of the scrimmage, and Coach Brown has come out and said that if he is cleared and healthy to play, he will probably start on Thursday. Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, I'm a little surprised. I mean, certainly Kevin, has proven that he can be a good starter. I don't think he had as strong as year last year's he had the year before. I I guess from my point of view, I like the starting lineup of Keon Ellis and Fox better, but it's also true Keon can play easily behind Herder or behind Fox, as can Monk. So I'll defer to the coach. Yeah, he knows his players and team better than I do, but I'm not gonna say otherwise, because I just from my standpoint, from watching what we saw last year, late in the season, I thought Ellis and Fox really at that time showed some real defensive promise. Haven't seen it preseason, by the way, but
Yeah,
we
good
did
point.
see it in last season, the regular season.
Yeah, it's a great point. Keon did not have a good preseason by any stretch of the imagination. And I'm not even talking about the offensive side of the court, strictly the defensive
Yeah.
side of the court. But it does make me wonder, what does Keon Ellis's role shift into for this team, Jerry, if he's coming off the bench?
Well, I do think it'd be as a kind of a defensive stopper. They'll probably evaluate what as the game starts and what problems they have, and he's certainly capable of guarding ones or twos, and so that may be something Coach Brown really likes the idea of, is having a guys, that maybe Herder's having a tough time staying with, or Fox is not having success with. Uh, moving Keon in to kind of slow him down. I think, a little bit like Gary Payton the third for the Warriors, kind of a specialist to go in there and, when he's healthy, of course, he's proven he can do that.
Yes, absolutely. Jerry Flores would like to know if you have a win prediction for the Kings this season.
Yeah, I think I do. I a few weeks ago before the preseason, I was predicted 50. I don't believe I'll do that. I wish I could, but I'll go 48. I'll go 48 wins, and I think 48 with the depth of the West, and the fact that Houston and San Antonio, some of those teams are going to win more games, and especially Memphis is going to win a lot more games, which means teams in the West, other teams are going to lose more games.
Right.
So the records I don't think will be as good. And what I'm trying to say is I think they can get to 48, and I think 48 will get you in the top 6.
You do think 48 gets you in the top 6?
Yeah, because, in other words, if Memphis, they're not going to, if they go from 25 to 45, well, that's 20 losses in the West somewhere.
It's a good point.
And then Houston's probably going to be better. And certainly San Antonio. So, you've probably got 40 or 50 more wins out of those 3 teams. Well, now, in my opinion, the Clippers will lose more.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who else will. So, in other words, it's going to be hard to win 60 games in the West than it was, or even win 55. So I think it'll all become more normal. Last year was an abnormality to have to be where the Kings were with 46 wins. There's a lot of years that'd be in the top 4.
So what would you call 22-23 then, when the Kings had 48 and they were the 3?
Well, I think that's pretty normal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty normal. I think, somewhere between 48 and 50 is generally going to get you in that top 3 or 4 for sure.
Okay. Overall, Overall, do you think the NBA is better this year when you look at both conferences?
I think so. I think some of the better teams have probably improved themselves a little, which is dangerous, especially for the Kings. I think the Kings have improved themselves.
Yeah.
So look that way. But you look at Dallas. They had Klay Thompson and the guy from Memphis, or not Memphis, but New Orleans.
Larry Nance Jr.
No, well, maybe they did. The hard-nosed defender. I'm trying to think of his name. Gosh, I was talking about him with Bobby Gerald. Now I can't remember his name. But anyway, they picked him up. I'll think of a little bit. And then, of course, with Oklahoma City, obviously they've gotten, added some pieces, and then the Minnesota, the big trade. Now, is that a good one for them? I think that it probably is. How much it'll make them better, I don't know. So I think the Lakers even. I mean, it looks like Dalton Connect is a heck of a rookie. That's ready to go. I think Zach Edey is going to really help Memphis
Yes.
as a rookie. And Najee Marshall, that's the name. Najee Marshall from New Orleans to Dallas. I think he's going to be a nice pickup for them.
Guru got you too there for you. So it's funny that you brought up Dalton Connect, and I wasn't going to bring him up today with you, but since you did, do you think from the sample size you've seen in the preseason that you're ready to say he's going to have a good year for the Lakers?
I think he can be a contributor. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think I liked him. He's one of the guys I watched quite a bit. I have a friend that really was on the Tennessee staff that used to be a coach an assistant coach in the league. And so I knew, I felt like I could get some pretty good info on him. And I always remember him saying, that Connect was going to be an awfully good pro, that, he's big for a guard, lively jumper, one of the biggest jumpers and can really make shots. He said, I think he's a bigger, more athletic version of Kyle Korver. And so if that's the case, oops, Kings.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I mean, time will tell. I mean, he's got but he had a couple of really good preseason games. But I think he'll be a contributor. But I'd say, don't expect too much. But I think he's going to be a top 7 or 8 rookie. I'd be surprised if he's not.
Yeah, it's with the Lakers needing shooting, the fact that he gets the ball off so quick, he cuts hard, he's able to get open against hard defense, or at least he's shown that in the preseason. Definitely keep some eyes on him. And speaking of moves, the Kings acquired Doug McDermott. There had been a lot of talks about Jay Crowder, some other names at that position. How do you like the acquisition of Doug relative to some of the other names that have been thrown around Sacramento?
Well, I like it. I like him better than Jay Crowder at this stage. Now, 3 or 4 years ago, I might not have said that, but I think Jay's really struggled the last few years. And I think Doug McDermott, even though he's maybe not exactly what the Kings need, size-wise, but he'll make shots. And I know he and Domas were very good together in Indiana, but now he's not quite the same player either. But McDermott, but he's a shot maker. And, and the thing I'll say, he's a little bit like what they thought Vesnikov would be. and then plus he'll have the better attitude. I mean, he's been to the county fair and he understands his role, and they'll be, he's one of those guys, if you need him play 15 minutes a night, he'll be there and be ready. And if you don't use him for 3 games, he'll be fine and be ready. Injuries and things like that. So on that basis, it certainly strengthens your bench again. This bench was weak, but I think with obviously Herter back, or maybe Ellis going to the bench, and McLaughlin is showing that he was a nice pickup, I think, and eventually Lyles will get back. And then now all of a sudden you've got a pretty good bench. And if Carter gets available, but I thought during the preseason the bench was just honestly quite awful. It was just awful. And, so
was there anything positive that you took away from the preseason?
I really liked just the way the conditioning and like Sabonis and Keegan Murray, they look like they're really game ready, to play 82. Keegan's put on some weight, and just the fact that he and Domas bring it every night, and I probably wasn't as pleased with Monk or Fox, to be honest, but I also know they're guys that they know there's 82 games ahead, and they want to be healthy and be ready to play as many of them as they can. So, but I'd say that too, and then just the fact that DeRozan certainly seemed to fit in naturally.
Yes.
You always have to be concerned about that. But I wasn't surprised because I know his reputation. He's a great team guy, big scorer, but a guy that really not a selfish guy. And
he's a chameleon. He fits in everywhere.
And then like say on this team, which has always been one of the most unselfish group of guys. And so it's good to add another one. but one with talent.
Yes, absolutely. And I thought a couple things that I saw in the preseason that were important was 4 of the 5 games. And remember, the starters for most of them only played one half. The Kings won the battle in the paint, which is something different than we saw last year. And to your point about Domantas Sabonis, Jerry, I don't know how the hell this guy does it, but he looks like he's gotten a tick quicker and a tick more explosive this year.
I agree. I don't either. I mean, he's one of the most amazing guys. I mean, he really shouldn't be able to rebound like he does. He's not that big. People,
Right.
He's never been 6'10". They call him that. I know in the combine years ago, he was 6'9.5". Now he hadn't grown much since then, but that's not. And he doesn't have great long arms. But what he does have, he goes for every ball. He's tenacious and he plays. I've never seen a guy play harder, more consistently, and with the stamina that he has.
That's the
I've never
key.
seen big.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's one of those guys you always say a player to get everything he's got out of his talent. Well, Domas is getting everything he's getting everything out of it that he can. Probably more than any player in Kings history.
That's a strong statement, and I don't disagree with that, actually. And the other thing that's been a pleasant surprise about Domas in this preseason was he was stepping into that mid-range game with confidence. He wasn't hesitating as he did last year. He was hitting it at a decent clip. Three-pointer, still a little bit to be desired, but that will come. Dennis thinks, Jerry, the Kings could have 3 153-point shooters. I don't know about that.
Well, yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I hope he's right.
Absolutely.
I'm more than happy to be wrong, but I'll be a little bit surprised.
Yeah, Dougie, I don't think Dougie's going to have an opportunity to make 153s. I think, Jerry, what do you see his role as? I'll give you mine really quick. I think maybe 40, 50, 60 games gives you 8 to 11 minutes a night. Gives you 6-9 points a game, and gives you that time in between quarters to get the guys rest. What about you?
Yeah, that's the kind of way I'd see him, and and maybe at times a little bit of a specialist, a guy that
There you go.
Coming out of timeouts, you might want to put him in, to get him a shot or just to stretch the floor, that sort of thing. But I think that's I'd see him more as a 9th, 10th man at the most.
Yep, absolutely. What are your thoughts on the Lakers squad this year?
Well, sadly, I think they're going to be better, and sadly is the key word there. So I'm really disappointed. That they might be better because I think they've helped themselves a little, and so of course so much of it revolves around LeBron. Just being healthy all year, but seems like he's healthy. We had a delivery out front.
Yeah, I was going to say, do I need to cut you loose? I don't want anybody to be waiting at your door.
No. But anyway, it always comes at the wrong time, those things. But anyway, funny. Yeah, I think they can be better. I here again, I think they and the Kings will be in direct competition. I see them as more of a competition for spots than I do the Warriors. But
yeah, I'm with you there. Do you think there's another move coming for the Warriors, though?
Well, I think they probably will be. Yeah, I think they're, and they've got some assets. That's what kind of worries me with them. They've got, with Moody and Kuminga, a couple of guys that have a lot of talent. Moody doesn't play much, but I think he's really good. He's a guy that probably needs a change of scenery, and I wouldn't mind being up the road about 90 miles, but I mean I do. I think they need more size as well.
Yeah, they're small.
They're small, and Draymond's not getting younger, and he's not. So he can't. I don't believe he can have the kind of season that he had 3 or 4 years ago either. Here. Or Curry, and I think with the Warriors, it's all about Curry. He's got to stay healthy for 70, 75 games and be Curry. Whether he can still do that, time will tell.
Yeah, time has been kind to him so far, just like you.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he is just one of a kind. Changed the game of basketball, indeed, forever. Put it.
Forever. Yeah, absolutely. Really one of the goes through the history of the game where the game changed, because of him and that sort of thing. And those are special players that you can point to that way.
I agree. Zach asked.
Hello, what happened? Did I lose you? Hello. I see you, but I don't hear you. Oh, goodness. I don't know what happened. There we go. Maybe. Am I here by myself? Where's my man Ryan?
Sorry about that, Jerry. I guess my
really. I was afraid I'm by myself. I hope I wasn't, because I was getting ready to sing a couple tunes.
I wish you would have. No, so sorry about that. The internet went out.
Yeah.
We are back now. So Zach asked an interesting question. Will Fox be taking less threes this year off the dribble? He shot about 43% off the catch last year. I think that's partially the plan. What do you think, Jerry?
Well, I hope so. I think with Darren, he's so good getting the basket and creating problems and opportunities for himself and others that I'd like to see him shoot probably fewer threes unless they're spot up shooters, where he's got space and, like you say, where he can shoot 40+%, because almost with the exception of Curry, I don't know of hardly any shooters that are better off the dribble. And so I'd like to see fewer off the dribble threes and more drives to the hoop and the threes he does take. And I don't mind him taking quite a few threes if they're open, his feet are set, and he's comfortable.
I completely agree with you. Sorry about the blackout there. Didn't mean to leave Jerry hanging. We should be back and running. I guess the internet's coming for me, Jerry. Maybe that was the person at your door saying, I didn't pay my internet bill, and asking for a reminder.
Well, I'll never understand the internet, Todd. So you already know that.
I do indeed. So Thursday night, what are your expectations for this team? Do you think the Kings get a win coming out of the gate against the T-Wolves?
I do. They played the T-Wolves very well, as you know, last year. And the T-Wolves, in fact, they got a huge game in L.A. tonight.
Yes.
And I am pulling for the T-Wolves to get a big win for two reasons, because I don't like the Lakers, number one. But also, I don't want them coming into Golden One pissed off. I want them to come in on a nice win. They can celebrate on the plane on the way up and all that. I think the Kings' chances for winning are better if that happens.
It's a great point. Be a little cocky. We just played on national TV. We stuck it to Bronny and his dad. I could see that happening for sure. Your Chiefs, buddy, before I let you go, they just keep rolling.
Yeah, they do. I mean, obviously the league is such that with all the injuries, they've got a lot of injuries too, like the night, but every team does. It's one of those things. My son and I were talking about, I don't know how good the Chiefs will be. I think they'll be a threat if they're healthy going into the playoffs. Now, that's a long way off, and it's almost staged. I'm almost amazed that every player on the field, on all teams, don't get hurt every game. Yeah. I mean, it's such a physical game, but it's one of the cases where the Chiefs' defense is way better than the offense, and was last year as well. I mean, and Mahomes, when you probably got the best quarterback in the league and the best defense in the league and the best coach in the league. And that's what they have right now. And but I wouldn't count the Niners out. If they get healthy, they're capable. Obviously, the Ravens are capable.
Yeah.
Buffalo getting Amari Cooper getting a receiver. Just a long way to go. It's not quite like the NBA with 82, but until they get into game 15, 16, 17, I don't think and like if you're the Niners and the Chiefs, if you're healthy going into the playoffs, you're going to feel like you have a chance.
100%. It's such a great point. The Niners are one of those teams. If you just get a ticket to the dance, it'll make a difference. But that health thing, they just keep kicking it down the road another week. They just can't get all together. Debo with the pneumonia. I'm not going to put you on the spot about the Western Conference, but who's your pick?
By the way, can you count on Debo?
Jerry, he kind of feels like a once in every 4-week player. And I'm giving him a pass here because of the pneumonia, but
yeah, no, I know. And I mean, he's a great talent, but it always seems like there's always something. I mean, when he's at his best, he's great.
yes.
But availability is still the key, And so I didn't mean to pick on him, but I really enjoyed him. But it always seems like there's more things with him than a lot of guys.
Well, they asked him to do a lot, right? And I think they asked him to do even more when the season started because they were getting Ayuk into the swing of things. You didn't have McCaffrey, but his decision to drop some weight this season surprised me, considering the amount of hits that he was going to likely be taking with that ball.
Yeah, and be giving.
Yeah, a great point. Yes.
Because I mean, he punished
physical guy.
So, well, anyway, but he's obviously key to their success. And so maybe whatever issues he's had, he won't have them play, because I always like the Chiefs last year. They weren't that good all regular season, but they were healthy going into the playoffs and they got better as they went.
It doesn't matter if you have 15. If you have 15, doesn't matter if the rest of your team's unhealthy. If you got 15, you got a chance.
You got, as long as he's upright, you've got a chance.
Jerry, at this point, I'm convinced he could snap the ball to himself, throw it, and catch it in the same play.
I go say it's one of those things where he goes through like a game and very unproductive most of it, and then the fourth quarter when it counts, he just makes great play after great.
It's the worst of his career. It was his worst passer rating of his career, and he still pulled his team through. It's incredible stuff. Okay, 2 last questions really quick. Our buddy Rich in San Diego, do you guys think Domas will be shooting more threes?
I don't think I really don't. I think I think they want him to shoot wide open threes, and I think he should, like he did last year, and he shot 37%. I just don't see with as many other 3-point shooters. I do expect Domas to shoot more 15, 18 footers. When the defense is going to give him space, I think
he has to.
He has to, and I think it looks like he wants to do that. So anyway, I think my feeling on Domas is with this team, I'll be surprised if he scores as much as he did last year. I think he'll maybe score less and be more productive even, which is almost hard to believe. But I just don't see him, shooting a lot. He's an initiator. He's a guy that gets, he's going to get De'Aaron and DeRozan and all these guys and, get them shots. That's what he's out there for. And then score when he needs to.
It's a great point. I think the points in the paint for him are going to go up, as crazy as that sounds, because he's going to have more time to be down there where he belongs. And quite frankly, even though he's undersized, he dominates. But Rich, I do think in spurts, you will see more from him. I think it's going to come in spurts in games. It's not going to be a consistent thing. And then, Jerry, the last question I was going to ask you before I get you out so we can start preparing for Thursday is who's your pick coming out of the East?
I've got to go Boston again. I just think I think they could be pushed by New York, and certainly Philly is possible. Indiana's a definite possibility, as well as Cleveland. I think the East don't have the depth of the West, but they've got 4 or 5 teams at the top. But I think the biggest competition will be the Knicks. But I see Boston. And I'm not sure anybody in the West can beat them either, to be honest.
There you go. Oh, Jerry, we've made it. We have officially made it, my friend. We're done with training camp. We're done with 2-a-days, which means now, Jerry, we just go to a shoot around on Mondays. Tuesdays, we're here. You've done it. You're good.
Yeah. I tell you what, I can't always say just the only thing, worse than preseason is summer league, and so we're through both of them. So now ready for real basketball, and next week we'll have some actually legitimate things to discuss, and hopefully they're positive. But if they're not, they're not.
Exactly.
But it's game time, and
It's
so
game time.
so I'll have my game face on Thursday. I'll
I
have my
love
game
it.
face on. So you and Brian at halftime, you better bring your A games.
We will. I'm gonna fuel up on chicken and dumplings the night before. So I'm gonna try them. I'm gonna have them for the first time in a couple of years.
Yeah, well, be careful. You'll be taking a nap if don't do it game day.
Fair enough. That is good advice, Jerry. Thank you so much for joining us as always. And you can find Jerry Thursday nights with us, or Thursday, the first night, halftime, Kings T-Wolves. So thank you, buddy. Have a great one.
Well, thank you, Ryan. See you guys.
All right. That is the one and only Jerry Reynolds. How awesome was that? Sorry about the internet cutting out. That was bizarre. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm having a Napes moment. And so thank you for everybody for sticking through that. And thank you to Jerry for sticking through that. And again, my apologies for that. We are hardwired here, so that should not happen very often. I can promise you Bennett's will be much more reliable for your dining needs than my internet connection today. Yes, check out Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That is Bennett's West Side Grill that you're looking at right there, located in the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. They've got 3 different locations here in the greater Sacramento area. Prime cuts of seafood and steak. We gush about the different offerings, whether it's the redfish, the New York prime. I love the specials. You got to go check out the specials. Not only is it affordable, it is amazing. Like weekends, you get brunch, 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, under $50 yesterday. Or no, Monday. Yeah, yesterday. You had wine and dine Monday, where you get a bottle of wine and 2 entrees under $70. And now Bennett'sRestaurants.com is accepting your to-go orders directly from the website. So make sure, get over there, check it out. In fact, Rich, I know he did a big to-go order sometime last year for a family gathering, said everything went great. So they can do a little bit of everything. And if you're doing get-togethers, as fall keeps we get into the meat and potatoes of fall, think about Bennett's for your private dining needs. Yes, that's right. They have private dining rooms. If you have office parties, Christmas parties, family get-togethers, they will take care of you. And a huge thanks to them for taking care of us and sponsoring the show today. Obviously, one of our favorites. So happy to have them with us for another season. That is Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Go check them out. Huge thanks to Bennett's for sponsoring the show. What did you guys think? Good conversation with Jerry. I could go for some chicken and dumplings. Here's the thing. The dumplings make the chicken and dumplings dish. You got to get the dumplings right. If the dumplings are too dry, it's not a good dish. They got to be nice and moist. I know that's kind of like a preference thing, but yeah, a little bit undercooked. There you go. Yes, chicken and dumplings this time of year. That is definitely a fall winter dish, not a summer dish. It's a 365-day-a-year dish for Jerry Reynolds, though, which is totally fine. So really good conversation with him. Don't forget, we're going to be back tonight at 8 o'clock. We'll be taking your calls and also talking everything going on with the Kings. We'll be hitting the Kevin Huerter topic. Some really surprising stuff. Couple things from Jerry about the win totals in the West. That surprised me. Did that surprise anybody else? And we'll be talking World Series. You got that. Football, a lot going on. What's up, Carl? How you doing, man? Welcome back to the channel. Give him a hell yeah.
Hell yeah!
So I hate to go back to this, but I've got to go back to this. I'm sorry. If you joined us last week on Tuesday, I had a little something for Jerry Jones. If you remember, he joined the local Dallas affiliate that carries the Cowboys games, for his weekly segment last week. And Jerry was cranky. Yes, extremely cranky. He was threatening the host's jobs. He was making no sense. In a nutshell, he was being Jerry Jones at his worst. He was being Jerry Jones turned up to 1,000. So we turn the calendar a week forward, and it comes time for Jerry's weekly hit again with the boys at 105.3. You figured, oh, okay, he probably learned from it. He's going to be better, right? Here's the start of the interview with Jerry and the host today on 105.3.
Jerry, what do you want to say, if anything, about last week?
I don't have anything to say about last week.
There you go. He has nothing to say about last week. Jerry, my man, you did it, Jerry. That was perfect. I'm here to praise Jerry. Oh, wait. Jerry did have something to say.
I'm happy, though, that I must tell you I'm surprised that last week got the attention it got. But, really, when I think about what we try to do on this show, for me, is I think we give you 2 shots a week that I get on, and Stephen gets on once or twice, and Mike, I don't know if Mike gets on or not, but those are really a privilege. It's kind of like pillow talk.
It's really a privilege to have me on with you. That's really a privilege to have private access to me and my son. Jerry continues.
You get some inside stuff. As you know, I don't go before the normal press conferences during the week usually.
Yeah.
And so this is the kind of thing that I would expect and how I would answer it relative to many of your questions. You're going to ask me today because Henry had a big night, Derrick Henry last night. You're going to ask me again how come when Henry was available and right here in Dallas said we didn't get him. And I will tell you, the same kind of question is one that my wife might ask me of 60-something years. Why did you do that?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I really don't know why I did that. The devil made me do it. And so my point is, those kinds of questions are pointedly toward putting you on a spot to make a certain kind of answer.
Yeah.
I've obviously been asked that Derrick Henry question almost every day since we started training camp.
Yes, Jerry. You have been asked that question every day since you have started training camp. You know why? Because you haven't given a satisfactory answer, Jerry. You beat around the bush. You insult your fan base with answers like there's not enough money for everybody. Instead of just taking your humble pie with a big glass of milk, he keeps digging himself a deeper, deeper hole. It's one thing. If you want to be crappy to your fan base, that's your choice. As a fan, if you still want to support an owner like that, that's your choice, right? But keep it in-house. Keep it within the confines of your city. Don't start taking shots at other players and other teams, which Jerry starts to do.
And so that's a get in your ass type of question.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I see that coming, and that's real good.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do it several times. And of course, I keep up with what you guys say when I'm not on the show. And so when you do it,
I'm watching. Jerry, don't you have more important things to do, my man? Since you basically sell the tickets, you're the GM. Do you pop the popcorn too? This is the same guy that does not know the meaning of the word share, does not mean the meaning of the word delegate. Everything has to be through him. So again, another threat from Jerry Jones.
several times,
Yeah.
I know that when you're asked about a question such as one that you might have at home, why did you do that? And you do it several times, then you really know what the situation is, where it's coming from. So those are the kinds of things that this show, to me, can and be about. For instance, if you ask me how I make a decision, I would say I'd maybe go back to a story of when I was buying the Cowboys. And we got down to where there was a $300,000 difference.
So wait, Jerry, help me out here, Jerry. Can you help me out, please? The last time that I checked, the first soundbite that we had, Jerry, you didn't have anything to say about the situation. And now we're what? A minute and a half? 2 minutes into your explanation?
I really got screwed. I ended up with the Dallas Cowboys. My point is, I don't know why I called heads rather than tails. And I couldn't explain to you why I called heads rather than tails. But some of this stuff works out, some of it doesn't. That's the kind of thing and the kind of answers I would expect us to be talking about on this show.
Yeah. And I get all that, and normally we're usually on the same page in terms of the topics and the subjects. That's why I think last week threw us off a little bit. But look, man, as I've said multiple times, Jerry, you've provided us, radio gold, and it is a privilege to be able to do this show with you for 15 years. And we had some fireworks, and that's kind of the way I view it, despite the payment and suspension and move the show and all that stuff, because we're usually in lockstep. So I understand that.
Listen, here's the thing. The fact that we've been doing it 15 years
Yeah.
Shows that someplace in between there, we got comfortable in our skin doing these type things. And we did get comfortable with it. I'm tickled to death that we have as much interest in this as we do. And as you well know, but guys, I have no issue, and you know that. As a matter of fact, you've said that. I have no issue with getting up in front of a bunch of media and people of journalism and asking the question and answering, getting questions and answering.
Yeah.
And I don't have any problem with that. Would you agree with that?
Yes, totally.
And again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but the point is that we've, in my mind, we're not playing very good football right now at all. And it's beyond whether or not we have Derrick Henry or not. Derrick Henry is having a career year. I don't know if he'd be having that career year in our situation. And we got down to where there was a $300,000 difference. And we couldn't get by it.
It works. And
someplace in between there, we got comfortable in our skin doing these type things. And
Sorry,
we did
you
get
dropped
comfortable
back.
with it. I'm tickled to death that we have as much interest in this as we do. And as you well know, but guys, I have no issue, and you know that. As a matter of fact, you've said that. I have no issue with getting up in front of a bunch of media and people of journalism and asking the question and answering, getting questions and answering.
Yeah. And
I don't have any problem with that. Would you agree with that?
yes, totally.
And again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but the point is that we've, in my mind, we're not playing very good football right now at all. And it's beyond whether or not we have Derrick Henry or not. Derrick Henry is having a career year. I don't know if he'd be having that career year in our situation. And that's really something you really do have to look at, because if he had not had as many carries as our running backs have had, then he certainly probably wouldn't have attained the level of impact he's having. And then he's a real good complement to the type of offense they run. We don't run that type of offense at all. Our situation is more about.
So let me get this right, Jerry. Let me get this right. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm accurate here. The fan base simply wants an answer as to why you did nothing with your roster this offseason to improve it. Yes, you re-signed CD. You extended Dak. Derrick Henry is running wild in Baltimore. He's having a resurgence. You go off on the hosts of this show last week. You threatened their jobs. You come back this week and you said, I have nothing to say about it. But then you yourself bring up the Derrick Henry situation and you proceed to throw dirt on Derrick Henry and say, take away, I should say, from the year he's having, but then say to your fan base, try to say you're right. That if Derrick Henry wasn't, or if Derrick Henry was in Dallas, he wouldn't be having this kind of season. That he has a complimentary back in Baltimore. He wouldn't be getting as many carries in Dallas. I mean, seriously, Cowboys fan, John Finch, are you kidding me? This guy refuses to just say 3 words. I was wrong. He really must think Cowboy fan is amongst the stupidest and lowest IQ fans in the NFL, that you are now trying to sell the non-signing of Derrick Henry as he wouldn't have worked in Dallas. Am I the only one that thinks this is the best reality television show going? Maybe the best reality show ever? Forget Survivor. Forget American Idol. And I have no emotional connection to the Dallas Cowboys. That's what sucks, because I don't like to kick other fans when they're down. But damn it, this is good. I want it to keep going. Can we get Jerry on the show every day? This guy is off his damn rocker. And if you're Derrick Henry, what the hell are you thinking? If you're the Baltimore Ravens, what are you thinking? And then it takes me to this, Cowboy fan. Why don't you do something about it? I get being a fan is being loyal, and we've seen what's happened in Oakland with the fans pissed off, but yet they weren't attending games, and the tug and pull between the media and trying to blame the other party for it not working out. And somewhere in between, you're always going to want to support your team, but Cowboy fan, you just keep lining this dude's pockets. You either don't care about how senile this guy is, or you're good with it. It's beyond me at this point. And this guy, Jerry Jones, what he is selling to the fans I never thought I would feel bad for a Cowboy fan. I feel bad for you, Cowboy fans. He treats you like you are idiots. Unreal. Derrick Henry would not have worked out in Dallas. And you're throwing shade on other teams when your team is a literal dumpster fire. I mean, was this an interview or was this a lecture? You know, the ones where your parents are like, hey, we need to talk. We're not mad at you. We're just disappointed. It's like he's disciplining the hosts of this show. Did you hear them nodding along? They're like, oh, yeah, 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 you talk to the media. Trying to push back, but they can't? Like, what the hell is going on? Why doesn't somebody stand up to this dude? It is so beyond me. It's so over my head at this point, but like I said, I don't even feel bad anymore. This is the best reality show going, and Dallas fan, you all are the ones that are eating it up. You're giving it the ratings. So I'm just going to sit my feet back, know that I have Jerry Reynolds every Tuesday here on the King's Court, and from every week going forward, I'm going to have something to talk about with Jerry Jones. Somehow Jerry Jones has slowly played his role into the number one spot. He's yanked it away from Tony Khan. Jerry Jones, man, the hits keep rolling for Jerry Jones. Peter chiming in. Hell no, your offensive line can't open the hole for your running back last year. Offensive line the offense is a passing offense. Jerry said you don't have a career here in Dallas. Yes, he did say that, Dennis. Yes, the passive aggressiveness still there with Jerry. But remember, hold on. Let me take you back. Let me take you back to the start of the interview. Jerry didn't have anything to say about the situation.
Jerry, well, what do you want to say, if anything, about last week?
I don't have anything to say about last week.
I don't have anything to say about last week. But you know what I do have? I have something to tell you about last week. I have a lecture for you about last week. It's unreal. It is crazy. You saw them put on the Bucks jersey really quick. MLB gag order, right? Patrick, what's up, my man? Welcome in. Skip Bayless left and went to the man. Skip Bayless, longtime Dallas fan. Yeah, well, maybe Skip Bayless is advising Jerry on what the hell to say and what to do. Now it makes sense. You know what? Bring Skip in to the organization. That's what they should do. They should bring Skip in. Let him be a spokesperson for Jerry Jones. That could only make this reality show that much better. So I am now going to start popping my popcorn at about 7 a.m, right before Jerry does his radio hit, kick my feet back. Hell no. Coffee out of here. Grab me a Dr. Pepper. And I am going to watch the best week-to-week reality show in the NFL. That is Jerry Jones and the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Unreal.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
How about them Cowboys? What's up, Patrick? My man, I know I said hi a second ago. Knicks basketball tonight. Yeah, we're going to get ready to wrap up, but don't forget the NBA is back. One thing that we did not go over that I do want to hit really quick, I think it's important for you to know since it is the start of the NBA season. By the way, can you guys do me a favor? Can you see the graphics? Because ever since we went dark for about 30 seconds, I can't see the graphics. Can you give me a 1 in the chat if you can see the graphics that I'm putting up? Anybody? Dennis, Patrick, can you see that graphic about the rule changes? If not, I will skip the segment. Can you see the graphics? Anybody? All right. Well, the NBA rule changes this year. A couple, the most important one to notate is the fact that the reviews for out of bounds plays have been extended. The coaches now get a second. Okay, great. You can see the challenge, or you can see him. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I will leave it up. Perfect. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. There are your rule changes for you. Oh no, you can't. Okay. No rule changes. You can't see the graphic, just the beam. Perfect. Okay. So I'll go over them really quick since you can't see the graphic. The rule changes this year. Sorry, we lost our power to our internet. The most notable rule change is going to be the out of bounds rule. There's the expansion of the out of bounds, what the refs can look at. Now the refs cannot just look if the ball was out off of the right player or team. They can also expand to see if there was a foul there or not. Perfect. All right. Thank you guys for telling me that the graphics are gone. You know what that means? We are expanding here. So the referees can now look to see if a foul occurred on a play where the ball goes out of bounds. We saw that happen multiple times last year where the ball clearly went off a player that was fouled, went off the same player, and the refs had to give the ball to the other team and still not call the foul. That can be looked at. You get your second challenge if you get your first challenge right. Also, this is a little bit of a different one that not a lot of people are talking about. It does not affect the game, but it does affect the locker room. There is only one person of contact now on each NBA team for cell phone communications during an NBA game, meaning players cannot be on their phones at halftime, meaning any communication in or out of the locker room that goes through a cell phone has to go through a single designated person on the team. You know why that is? Gambling. They're not going to tell you that's why the rule was written. That is why that rule is being put into place. Gambling. It's not about social media posts at halftime. It is about gambling. It is a preemptive strike to anything that could be inside information coming from a team. A couple of things of note in the G League. Now, the reason I bring up the G League is because they're trying new things out down there, much like Major League Baseball does with AAA baseball. The NBA is hyper focused on the flow of the game right now. So what they're doing in the G League, which I kind of like, is they're going to any overtime situation. It is now not a 5-minute period. It is a target score. It is a target score. 7 points is the target score. So that is something they're going to be trying in the G League. Could it eventually come to the NBA? Maybe. I think that one is a little bit further down the road, in addition to some other rule changes with the G League that we'll talk about tomorrow, but nothing too much to go into. Thanks for hanging in with me, guys. Sorry that you haven't been able to see the graphics since we had the internet outage. That will all be fixed for later today or later tonight. Can you foul a player if you were fouled on the previous play, but it wasn't called, thus excusing the retaliation foul? I don't know the answer to that, Peter. I get what you're saying. I don't know the answer to that, but I'll have the answer to that for you either on our 8 o'clock show or I'll hit it on the King's Court. I'll save that one really quick. Okay. I know that also there's going to be a premium again on anybody flopping. We've talked about that. And the in-season tournament, the higher seed will now host the championship game for the in-season tournament. So those are your rule changes. You got 2 games tonight. You got the Knicks and Boston, as Patrick pointed out, Knicks basketball. Give me the Knicks tonight over Boston. Boston is a 5.5-point favorite. I think the Knicks win this game. Now, the tough thing here is Karl Anthony Towns. They're asking him to play a lot more of a traditional center role. Is he going to fit in? Will he work in? Something tells me the Knicks are hungry and pissed off. So give me the Knicks tonight in Boston outright. I don't even want the 5.5 points. And then second game of the night, Minnesota Timberwolves, Lakers. Timberwolves are a 1.5 favorite in LA. By the way, speaking of the flow of the game, it is expected that the Lakers are going to get Bronny in with Braun tonight. They want it to come at a point in the game when the game's competitive. They want it to be more of a natural moment. You know my response to that? It's not a natural moment if you're planning it out. So if Shams is reporting how they want this moment to happen, then it's actually a produced moment. If you're holding off on putting Bronny James into the game because the game isn't at the right spot, then you're producing it. It's not a real moment. So Lakers fans, get used to it. It's going to be the thing of the year. Yeah, Bronny scored 17 points. Great. In his last preseason game. You saw what the Clippers did to the Kings in the last preseason game. You saw the second half of that game, and it was pretty much garbage time. It was LA Gym open run time. So don't give me that Bronny's going to have a big impact. He's not. Bronny needs the G League, and the G League needs Bronny. So he will get his moment tonight with Dad. But which way am I going to go in this one? I'm going to go Minnesota. Anthony Edwards he's hungry. He is really hungry. And he's playing with a little bit of a different aggression. And his aggression last year was crazy. So give me the Timberwolves. They won't need the points. T-Wolves win this one, but LA, story of the game is going to be Bronny James and Bronny. And obviously, Dalton Connect. Keep your eyes on that situation as it develops. Grant's been on the record about it. I don't disagree with him. It's a hard thing to swallow. I thought Dalton Connect should have been the pick when the Kings drafted. Straight up. If you look at the areas of need for the Kings, they needed depth at the forward position. They needed shooting, but they went guard. Now, Devin Carter could still be an amazing player in this league. I don't have a problem with that pick. I just think Dalton would have been the better pick for the Kings' need. And ultimately, we will see. We won't know for a while. It's going to take 2-3 years. But he might have ended up being the best available pick too. But you're going to get a chance to watch him again tonight. So, hey, do us a favor. Come back at 8 o'clock tonight. Grant and I will be back. Throw this up for you. We'll be taking your calls all night long. And, well, not all night long, but we'll be taking your calls. You can bring up whatever topic you want to talk about. Doesn't even have to be sports related. We'll get into some other things if you want to. It is an open forum show, but I'm sure it'll be Kings heavy. If you're just joining us right now, Coach Brown said Kevin Huerter will probably be the starter on Thursday night if he is cleared and available to play for the Kings. Deebo Samuel is also out of the hospital. Good news for Deebo. We talked about that situation. Godwin out for a year with his fracture in his leg. Oh, that was terrible. But the composure, he handled it with it. Incredible. Also, Coach Brown talked about, you know what, why don't we end here? Coach Brown's comments about, you know what, no, we'll save it for 8 o'clock. Coach Brown talked about the rotation. We'll get to it at 8 o'clock. Make sure you join Grant and I right back here on If You Don't Like That. Huge thanks to Jerry Reynolds for joining us today on the Kings Court. Go Kings! Light the damn beam. Stay the hell away from Levine. Please stay the hell away from Levine.
It doesn't matter what you think.
It does matter what I think. Stay away from Levine. We'll see you back at 8 o'clock right here on the Kings Court. Grant and Ryan on If You Don't Like That. Court is dismissed.